A private jet's journey ended in a dramatic and really startling fashion at Chicago Executive Airport. The aircraft, a Cessna Citation, failed to stop on the runway during its landing sequence. Instead, it continued its forward momentum, overrunning the paved surface and crashing through a perimeter fence. The incident brought airport operations to an immediate standstill. It raised urgent questions about aviation safety, even for smaller private aircraft. The sight of a sleek corporate jet entangled in a chain-link fence served as a stark reminder that no flight is truly routine until the engines are off and the passengers are safely inside the terminal. This event was not a catastrophic loss of life, but it was a serious accident nonetheless. The crash at Chicago Executive Airport highlights a specific yet common type of aviation incident known as a runway excursion. These events occur when an aircraft veers off or overruns the runway surface during takeoff or landing. While they often result in less severe consequences than in-flight emergencies, they represent a significant challenge for airport safety planners and pilots. Understanding what happened on that runway is crucial for preventing similar occurrences. The chain of events leading to the fence is what investigators must now meticulously reconstruct. The accident occurred on Saturday, September 6, 2025. The time was approximately 3:45 in the afternoon, Central Daylight Time. Visibility was generally good, the sun still well above the horizon. Daylight usually helps during landing, which makes this incident puzzling. The event unfolded at Chicago Executive Airport, a public airport in Illinois. Wheeling, Prospect Heights, a reliever for the much larger O'Hare International Airport, handles heavy corporate and general aviation traffic. Located in a dense suburban area, any incident can affect the surrounding community. Formerly Palwaukee Municipal Airport, Chicago Executive operates multiple runways for a range of aircraft. The crash happened at the end of runway 1634, one of the primary runways. That runway is 5,001 feet long. The aircraft overran the southern end of the runway, near the intersection of Hintz Road, near Wolf Road. It crashed through the airport perimeter fence and stopped just short of the public roadway. That final position highlighted the danger to motorists and people outside the airport. The airport and runway choice matters. Chicago Executive has modern navigation aids. It's staffed by professional air traffic controllers. This is not a remote, unattended strip. Where and when this happened already helps narrow what could have gone wrong. The aircraft involved in the incident was a Cessna Citation CJ-4. Close-up flight of the CJ-4. Interior cabin of the CJ-4. Cockpit avionics and instrument panel, Williams FJ-44 engine close-up. This is a popular light business jet known for its performance and reliability. The Citation series is a cornerstone of the corporate aviation world, used by companies, used by private owners, for short-range flights, for medium-range flights. The CJ-4 model is a modern variant with advanced avionics and efficient Williams International FJ-44 engines. It is certified for single-pilot operation. Although many owners and corporate flight departments choose to operate with two pilots for an added layer of safety. Knowing the type of aircraft is the first step for investigators. It gives access to performance characteristics, maintenance history, and any known safety issues. The flight originated from Teterboro Airport in New Jersey. Teterboro is a major hub for private and corporate aviation serving NYC. Map animation showing the route from Teterboro to Chicago Executive. The flight path was a routine cross-country trip. The flight duration was approximately 2 hours. On board were 2 pilots and 3 passengers. The approach to runway 16 at Chicago Executive Airport appeared to be normal. The pilot was in communication with air traffic control and had been cleared to land. The aircraft was properly aligned with the runway, and its landing gear was down and locked. From all external indications, the flight was proceeding as expected. The critical phase of any flight is the transition from flying to rolling on the ground. This phase, known as the flare, is when the pilot raises the aircraft's nose slightly to slow the descent rate and touch down gently on the main wheels. The initial touchdown itself may have been a key moment in this incident sequence. According to preliminary data and controller reports, the touchdown may have occurred further down the runway than is ideal. This is known as a long landing. A long landing significantly reduces the amount of available runway for the aircraft to slow down and stop. On a 5,001-foot runway, every foot counts. If an aircraft touches down 1,500 feet past the threshold instead of the standard 1,000 feet, it has lost 500 feet of precious stopping distance. Pilots are trained to execute a go-around, aborting the landing and circling around for another attempt. if the approach is not stable or if the touchdown point is too far down the runway. A critical question for investigators will be why a go-around was not executed. Once the wheels were on the ground, the pilot would have engaged the aircraft's braking systems. For a jet like the Citation CJ-4, this involves several components working in unison. Several potential factors could explain why the Cessna Citation CJ-4 failed to stop on the runway. The investigation will focus on three primary areas: mechanical failure, human factors, environmental conditions. While the weather was reported as clear, even subtle changes can play a role. A slight tailwind, for example, can increase an aircraft's ground speed on approach and landing, requiring a longer stopping distance. Even if the official airport weather reported calm winds, a localized gust at the moment of touchdown could have been a contributing factor. Investigators will analyze detailed meteorological data to rule this possibility in or out. A mechanical failure of the braking system is a primary suspect in any runway overrun. The aircraft's brakes are a complex hydraulic system, and a failure in any part of that system could dramatically reduce stopping power. This could include a loss of hydraulic fluid, worn brake pads, or a failure in the anti-skid system. The anti-skid system is crucial. It works like an ABS system in a car, preventing the wheels from locking up and allowing the pilot to apply maximum braking without blowing a tire. Investigators will carefully examine the wreckage of the landing gear and braking components for any signs of pre-impact failure. The condition of the tires will also be telling. Human factors are almost always a part of the accident chain. In this case, the investigation will look closely at the pilot's performance. As mentioned, a long landing is a common precursor to an overrun. Did the pilot fly the approach too fast or too high, causing the aircraft to float and touch down late? The data from the flight data recorder will be instrumental in answering these questions. In the immediate aftermath of the crash, information began to trickle in from those who saw it happen. Several airport employees working on the airfield reported seeing the jet touch down and continue rolling at what seemed to be a high speed. One ground crew member noted that he did not hear the distinct roar of thrust reversers. Thrust reversers are often used on jet aircraft to aid in deceleration. This observation, while not conclusive, provides an early clue investigators will follow up on. The absence of that sound could point to a mechanical issue with the reversers or a pilot's decision not to deploy them. Witnesses outside the airport also provided accounts. A driver on Hintz Road, which runs parallel to the runway end, told a local news crew he saw the plane coming directly toward the fence. He said it did not seem to slow down at all. He slammed on his brakes, fearing the jet might come onto the road. Wheeling Fire Department officials were first to speak to the media. Chicago executive airport officials also addressed reporters. The fire chief confirmed crews responded within minutes and found a jet that had breached the fence. The FAA released a preliminary statement shortly after notification. Their report said a Cessna Citation CJ-4 had run off the end of runway 16 while landing. The emergency response to the crash was swift and well coordinated, a direct result of the rigorous planning and regular drills. The moment air traffic control realized the aircraft would not stop on the runway, they activated the crash alarm. This single action set in motion a predetermined emergency plan. The airport's ARFF units were stationed right on the airfield and were the first to arrive. Powerful ARFF vehicles navigated the field, dispensing large quantities of water and fire-suppressing foam quickly. The ARFF team's first priority was to assess the risk of fire. They found the Citation jet entangled in the fence with visible nose and wing damage. A small steady leak of Jet A fuel came from the right wing. The crew immediately applied a layer of firefighting foam around the leak. The foam smothers the fuel and suppresses flammable vapors that creates a safe environment for evacuation. While foam was applied, firefighters assisted pilots and passengers out of the jet. Mutual aid was activated. Units from Wheeling arrived. Units from Prospect Heights arrived. They established a command post just outside the airport perimeter. The coordinated response ensured the incident did not become a catastrophe. With the emergency phase over, the investigative phase begins. The lead agency for all major transportation accidents in the United States is the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB. An NTSB GO team was dispatched from Washington, D.C. to Chicago. This team consists of experts in various fields, including aircraft structures, power plants, air traffic control, weather, and human performance. The investigator in charge, or IIC, takes command of the site, coordinating the efforts of the entire team. The first on-site task for the NTSB is to document the wreckage and the accident scene exactly as they were found. Investigators walk the entire path of the aircraft from the end of the runway to its final resting place. They look for tire marks on the runway, which can indicate if the brakes were applied and if the anti-skid system was functioning, and use advanced tools like three-dimensional laser scanners to create a precise digital map of the site. Every piece of debris is flagged, photographed, and cataloged before being moved. The most critical pieces of evidence are the aircraft's two black boxes. These are the cockpit voice recorder, or CVR, and the flight data recorder, or FDR. The CVR records the last 2 hours of conversation in the cockpit, including pilot communications, engine sounds, and other ambient noises. The FDR records hundreds of different parameters of the flight, such as airspeed. Once on-site documentation is complete, the wreckage is carefully removed from the scene and transported to a secure hangar. There, investigators will conduct a detailed teardown of the aircraft's key systems. It is through this relentless process of investigation and learning that air travel has become and will continue to be an exceptionally safe mode of transportation.